Oh. Should be live. Is it doing stuff? Oh. Pause it or mute it.
Yeah, I've just muted it and let it run. All righty.
Welcome to the Phil and Phil Show.
Hey guys. Phil's got me being the whatever I'm being, the host. Man, is it a struggle for me.
The hostess with the mostest.
The hostess with the mostest. Right, I'm overlapping. I'm getting there. I'm on it. Okay. So, I'm Phil.
And I'm Phil.
And this is another fabulous, fantastic episode of the Phil and Phil Show, where we do long form conversation and we are evolving out loud.
Boom. So let's get some color there. We need to ground with some color. Do you have some color?
Phil, I haven't started recording this yet.
It's all right. It's recorded live on YouTube. So
okay. Yes, let's do some. Let's get on the color. Oh, where are we going to start today then?
We need a ground right now. We're in the clouds. So.
Oh, you are or I am?
You are.
Okay.
But you are me and I'm you, so.
Okay, so the grounding, this is the best one at the moment, is a Earth Star Rainbow Dragon. So your Earth Star is about 2 feet beneath your feet. And this little beauty here, I'll show you the, I keep looking at myself in the screen. I'm not by my camera now. So there.
Can't really see it.
Earth Star Rainbow Dragon. And that's the bottle. It's kind of a coppery color. Oh, I got to get used to, because normally what I do is I have my little picture underneath my camera. And because we've got YouTube up, I've got my little picture about 8 inches to the right of my camera. So it's thrown me out. So I've got to remember up there. Okay, you ready? So this is for grounding us out. So
do that visualization you did with me and Susan. It was nice.
Oh, okay. So imagine your Earth Star about 2 feet, which is about 60 centimeters or 600 mil for any construction workers watching. Beneath your feet, take your energy down to the ball in the ground, your Earth Star. Okay, now I'm going to spray this. This is really strong. So feel that essence. Let it enter into your field. Let it come in your field. Draw that in, breathe it in. Take it down through your body, out through your feet, down into the ground, into your Earth Star. Take that energy, wrap it around your Earth Star. Then what I like to do is imagine you've got like a ratchet on that, and then you can just gently ratchet that down, tighten it up until you just feel yourself kind of go. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Fab. And that'll just ground us out nicely. So another spray for luck. Okay. Once again, breathing it in. In we go. Take that into our bodies, down past our heart, down our legs, out through our feet, into the ground, and down to your Earth chakra, to your Earth Star chakra. Fab. That's what I've been needing, Phil. Thank you for that, my friend.
That's better. There you are.
Oh, here I am. And then let's do I like Rainbow Dragon Deep Teal. Look, let's do this one.
I like the color. Lovely.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was drawn to. This is a fairly new one to me, so I don't really know what the teals are about yet, apart from I can feel them. So let's do this one. 2 squirts in a hand, rub it around, breathe it in. Share it out into the world. And there we have it. And there we have it. Okay. That's really lovely, Phil, that one. Then let's do Ruby Red for Tribe. Let's
I was gonna say, where's the tribe? We need to do tribe.
let's do a call out to Tribe. This is Ruby Red.
Nice.
Ruby Red. Calling out for our tribe. May our tribe members hear this and come in. So again, breathing in. Share it out to you guys. Share it out to the world. Welcome, Tim. I'm just going to interact with Tim a second on there. Welcome. Okay, so I'm new to hosting with the Mostin. So Phil's doing it on his phone. I've got the computer, so I've got to practice. So welcome everybody. That was just our little introduction, very simple little meditation, grounding, and a shout out to the tribe. And actually, Phil, those 3 colors, look at that.
Oh, nice.
See if I can get that a bit more. Yeah. They're incredible, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Is it any better with the light? I just want to get the light on there. Amazing. So these are part of the colored mirrors system, which is a color therapy healing system. So Phil, today's been a bit of a hectic day.
What's been going on?
Well, I got up this morning at a reasonable time, and I went downstairs and went out to the garden, and I said to my dad, "Oh, can you just come in for a minute and just help me? The sink's playing up; it's a bit blocked. I'm just going to." This was 7:30 in the morning before I was going out. I said, "Can we just plunge it? You just hold a bit of tissue over the overflow pipe, and I'll plunge it down and clean it out." So anyway, I'm plunging away, and all of a sudden I heard all this noise, and I was like, "That's not supposed to happen." All this water was running, and so the pipe from where I'd plunged it, I blocked the pipe under the sink, and the water had shot out of where we put the dishwasher in.
Oh no!
So all that black, gooey, stinky water shot out behind the kitchen unit, over the worktop, ran down the walls, and then was on the floor. And I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
So luckily, because Dad and I built it all, we were able to actually pull the kitchen unit out. And then not only did that happen, we then had to take all of the waste pipe out from underneath the kitchen. So we just unplumbed everything and then took it out in the garden and then cleaned it all out.
Wow.
And I just put it back together. I just finished putting it back together at 7:50 tonight. not that I was doing it all day, but I've been out and then Dad went out and then he's like, oh, we'll do it in the morning. I said, no, it won't take long. It took about 20 minutes. It was just, so I think because of all that, that's why I was I was rather hectic and ungrounded because I was rushing around trying to get that done so Dad could wash up and get whatever he wanted done so I could jump on and come and be with you guys. So yeah.
So you started the day by releasing some blockages.
Yes, actually I started today by attempting to release some blockages, made a bloody mess of it, puked all that blockage everywhere, then had to clean it up and then finished it off later on.
I mean, it's really just like, it's what life is like, right? It's like, we think it's all going to be perfect, but it's usually a big mess.
Yeah. You know, and that's also the thing, isn't it, about our show and what we're doing. This isn't about being perfect, right? This isn't about, oh, look, the lighting's all perfect. We've got great cameras. I have actually got a great microphone. But our show isn't about that, is it? It's about he says, trying to straighten up the screen. It's about just being as real as we can, really. You know, some days we're ready, some days we're not ready. I wasn't ready at all today, clearly. But, you know, I'm really glad we did the sprays because it really helps me sell. Oh, see, clearing this show clears lots of energy because I'm always yawning. I haven't yawned hardly at all until now. So, you know, we're clear. It's brilliant. I love it. We're clearing stuff.
It's making me yawn.
It's energy shifting, isn't it?
So we're moving. We were talking about this last week. So we're moving out of this apartment. So we're in major downsize mode.
Suitcase, down to suitcase.
Well, not quite there yet. This is level 1. So it's a lot, you know, all this stuff we accumulate. We were talking about that. So yeah, I'm kind of a little bit tired. So yesterday, like I gave somebody pretty much all the furniture. They're gonna give us some money for it, but like the couch, the side tables, the coffee table, I took it to somebody too. I took it to their house. I rented a truck for the day, dropped it off, took it to this lady. She lives in the Salvation Army. Basically, it's like low income, so she didn't have any furniture. So we basically made a little house a home and just give her all this stuff. So it's really nice. And that was important for Susan as we're downsizing and getting rid of stuff. It's just, we want to kind of share it with our friends. And so we've done that. And then last weekend, you joined us on our little clear out party. That's why we didn't have a show.
Yeah.
And that room, all that stuff, that's all gone. All that stuff's gone. So
wow.
Most of it was taken by people. And then yesterday I went to a raw food meetup and we took the last of it and some people took it. So, and yeah, so it's all gone, but there's still more. It's like, it's just more, it's just always more stuff. So yeah. Like, where does it all come from? All this stuff we accumulate. We live in an apartment. It's like, we don't even have that much space, but it's like all the furniture's gone and I'm looking around going, wow, there's still more stuff.
I know the value of moving often, right?
Yeah. Well, we've been here 6 years, so I think we're probably accumulated more here than anywhere. So, well, we were at the Tree of Life for a long time, but we downsized a little bit when we left from there. But then we just lived in a 1-bedroom studio kind of thing. So, but yeah, so just we were talking about last week. We were talking about the emotional associations we have with all of this stuff, you know, like we connect with it. So, and then we'll keep things that we maybe don't need to keep, you know, like we'll keep it for years going, oh, maybe I'll need that later. And just wondering about that. I mean, that's a cool thing too. And maybe you will need it later, but then there's also this thing of like, why are we holding on to all this stuff? And I was talking to somebody yesterday, like, so I'm going all over in topics here, but we were talking about the whole, like, the World Economic Forum statement, like you'll own nothing and be happy. So on
Maybe that's
one,
true.
well, I'm going to tell you. So what they do is they flip everything, because on one side of the equation, like, well, we'll talk about their side of it, because their intent with that is you'll own nothing except we'll own everything, and you'll be owned by us, because everything you'll need to do is basically you'll give us your soul, you'll give us your energy, you'll give us all your, so it's not like, so it's like kind of that energy is like we're giving, they'll control everything. Whereas when we think about a statement like that, we're thinking we'll live in the woods in harmony with nature, we'll use something, it'll biodegrade. So it's a totally different own nothing and be happy than what they mean, because they mean you'll still have all this stuff, but you'll be renting it from us with your soul, maybe with money and all these things, and the agreements like, oh, if you do this, you need to take this jab or this medicine, or you need to agree to live in this size home and these materials. Whereas when we think about it, like we kind of want to build a log cabin or a stone hut in the woods, and it's a different type of, well, we're part of everything, and we realize we're part of the woods, and we're totally abundant, and we're sharing, and with that, it's like, no, you depend on the system. Whereas we want to be like, oh, we're going to grow stuff and share it, and then you're going to be good. Maybe you'll make a table and all that stuff. So there's like a different energy. So I was thinking like about that they do that with everything, where they'll flip stuff that actually has positive meaning. And I think that's why it's easy to get sucked into it. It's like, well, yeah, own nothing and be happy. That, like, why do I want all this stuff? Like, but then there's a flip, So.
Yeah, exactly, Phil. Why?
Yeah.
I've got loads of stuff, and I think, well, I say loads of stuff, I think compared to a lot of people, I haven't got a lot of stuff, but I've got lots of the stuff that I've got is building stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So I've got lots of replacement parts and bits for doing maintenance and repairs. So actually, yeah, so that could all go, but of course, in my nature of doing and repairing and inventing and making stuff, it's really, it's actually really useful. But then you get to a point where you can't get to some stuff because you've got other stuff. Mm-hmm. And then basically none of it's useful.
Right.
So it's interesting. Interesting stuff, man.
Yeah.
And then you've got stuff that you're emotionally tied to.
Right.
Because it was your grannies or your great uncles or when I went to see my granddad, well, I've got a picture actually right in front of me. That was my grand and granddad's. And I mean, it's a beautiful picture. I'm not just attached to it because of the sentimentalness of it, but actually it's an incredible picture. It's a picture. It's a picture of a beech wood with a path that goes right through the middle and then bluebells up the sides. Just like a little valley with a path, and it leads to the light.
Nice.
So it's actually a really incredible picture. And, and of course, there's an emotional attachment to it as well.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that those things are important in the life that we've come in. And I think what happens is when we hoard all this stuff and store it, and like it's almost like it, and it's total, the representation is clear. It's like you're storing this baggage and you're carrying it around with you. And I keep seeing it all around. Like they keep building more and more storage units. I don't know if that's a thing over there, but
yeah.
And so people are taking all this stuff and putting it into these storage units, and like, why? Like, and I get, like, I like having, ornaments and things that have emotional connection, like that seems to be fine. But if it's this thing where you're just like collecting all of this stuff, and it's almost like it's just being held, it's like it's holding energy, and like kind of taking it and giving it back. Like it's been, some of these things have been feeling really good, like giving it back to the community. Like we had hundreds of jars, which were great because we like to store all our herbs in jars, but we're not going to bring them with us when we move from here. But so people are just really excited and they get jars, and we pass those on. So, but just all these little things that like we're sharing it back into the community. And that was important for Susan, not to just drop it off. We had a charity pickup. They picked up a lot of stuff. but then like some of the things that we had a little bit more emotion connected to, we gave it to friends, you know, so we gave it to community, to tribe. So
yeah, you know, and that feels important, because otherwise where does it go? You know, it's like,
yeah,
if you've got someone else, a friend that can make use of it, then you know, if you can clutter their life up with it, all the better, right? And a real job to keep a straight face then. But you know what I
give
mean?
them your stuff. Yeah,
But that's kind of what happens. It's really interesting, because on a level, right, giving it to your friends and giving it back to the community isn't letting it go.
well,
Because
it is.
it is, but you know it's safe.
Well, I'm not even thinking about it being safe. I'm just
No,
like,
I know you're not thinking about it being safe, but that's the reality of it. It's really interesting how what am I trying to say?
well, I mean, my biggest intent is not wanting it in the rubbish, like all of this stuff, these resources that have been used. So, and I see that a lot where people move and they just, they get a big giant dumpster or a skip and they just dump everything. This is like, and I think that like that like that's like you're just throwing away your energy, like, and this throwaway.
May see, the thing is, this is where it's interesting, right? Maybe you are just throwing away your energy, but actually maybe you're cutting your ties with energy drains. And I don't know, so it's a really, I fundamentally, Phil, I totally agree with you. It's just interesting exploring it, isn't it? Because,
Well, yeah, but it does feel like, it feels like I've released those. So yes, I've chosen, been selective about where they go, but they're released and it feels really good. So I don't think I've got a tie to them. I mean, maybe I do, but I don't think so.
it's not necessarily you've got a tie. Maybe they've got a tie to them.
Right? Yeah.
Because whenever I use that jar, that's going to remind me of Philip and Susan now.
Well, that's fine.
I know, but you see how it creates emotional ties to stuff.
Well, it's all of it, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think so the sort of, it's almost like, it's like the more possessions or things that you have, I mean, it doesn't have to, but it can probably pull you down, like, and keep you stuck in the material world. I don't know if it's bad or good, but it seems that that would be the case. Like, the more stuff you have,
it can.
It's good exploration.
Yeah, it can keep you stuck in a material plane, definitely. But also, it can keep you stuck to place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I experienced this, right? Because being I run a small building company, right? So you know, as you know, so I've got ladders and steps and planks and bits of scaffolding and timber and nuts and bolts and screws, because that's just the nature of my job, right? Most building companies actually have a builder's yard, or they rent a space, right, for it to. So I've got mine at home, but because of the nature of kind of what I do, with that comes a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy with your stuff to trap yourself to one place.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I think so. In some ways, I feel that I've trapped myself to one place because I've got a good little business.
Mm-hmm.
I've got enough work for the lifestyle that I've got right now. There's always room for more work, but have I got the energy and inclination to do it? Not really. I'd rather be talking about enzymes and water and coloured mirrors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something's got to fund it until it funds itself.
Right.
And when things start to pay off, you know, like doing coaching, whether that be health, plant-based living, nature, whatever, until they actually start paying off, then I need to do the building stuff. So
However, is that stuff not an anchor to you?
when you say an anchor, what does that mean?
Well, you know, when you're in a ship and you throw the anchor over and it stops the ship moving. So it's holding you back from, like, so you say, well, when I this and then this, but the fact that you have all the stuff, and maybe you can start chipping away and letting go of some of it, or free up some energy that's kind of tied to you.
That's scary, Phil.
It is. So you told me about the door handle that you have.
Yeah,
it's like brand new. Like, why are you holding on to that? Is there somebody that could use that? Can you put it on Facebook Marketplace or whatever? I don't know. You can't.
No, I can't put it on Facebook Marketplace, Phil. You know that. That's a silly suggestion.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. So, well, there's a thing called OfferUp up here, which I've been putting stuff on. So, and I had these magnets. So this is an interesting one. So I did the Peter Ragnar magnetic Qigong, and I have these big magnets, and I'm like, I actually don't like these magnets because they're really strong and they freak me out because they're so strong they can like trap your fingers in them. So I put them on this thing called OfferUp today, and I got like, I think there's a guy coming to pick them up right now. So I just said, they're free, come take them. And it's like, I've been carrying these around for like years now, and I'm like, because I don't know what to do with them. I was like, I just got to offer them and somebody's going to take them. So
yeah,
there's people looking for that stuff all the time, you know.
Before we went into lockdown, I'm part of I've told you before, I'm part of this thing called Coombe Mill Society, where we volunteer and we help run an old sawmill. Mm-hmm. And on that, I used to do the Woodland Trail stuff. So that involves chainsaws and axes and all that stuff, right? And so partly what I used to do on open days was have a stool and sold old tools. So the tools that my dad's dad gave me and my mum's dad gave me, you know, when they passed, and my great uncle, when he passed, I had his tools, and a friend's dad passed and I had some of their tools. So I've had a stool, and before lockdown was in, and I was selling those off because that's kind of like my inheritance. Mm-hmm. So my inheritance was old tools. So I've been given them. So instead of, you know, what do you do with it all? So I decided to have a stool on a, you know, maybe like 6 or 7 times a year, and sell these old tools off. And it was actually really interesting and fun. Mm-hmm. And, you know, 18 months later, obviously I haven't sold anything. You know, it's time to go and do that again. And that's nicer than a car boot sale, because people are there. People that go to those kind of events are interested in so Tim's written, personally, I know I can fit my personal life into a 75-litre rucksack that includes the emotional connectives in physical items, but to move house as our family would take an awful lot more. Yes, like I'll tell you what, Tim, when I used to go traveling, like when I went to America, I traveled with a 36-litre rucksack. That I went traveling for a year and I had a 36-litre rucksack. and in there, including my sleeping bag.
Wow.
In that rucksack. And when I went off to New Zealand in 2006, I had my Tribest personal blender in there too. In a 36-litre rucksack.
That's a pretty small one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really smooth. It's classed as a large day pack.
Wow.
And I went for a year with that. So, you know, really, you don't need. And I remember people always said, "Oh, Phil, you know, that wherever I went, they give me stuff," and I'm like, if it can't fit in my rucksack, I don't want it.
Right.
And that was really awesome, because, you know, literally, I'd leave, someone would give me a book, I'd read the book, I'd leave it somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't fit it in my rucksack. I used to have a little rucksack on my front that I would carry like food stuff in, and then my rucksack on my back, which I would call my big rucksack, but for most people it's a day pack. So basically I went traveling with 2 day packs, one on the front and one on the back. So I had the one on my front had a bottle of water and food for a couple of days. So yeah, I couldn't carry it. It was an amazing feeling. It's like, guys, I can't carry that stuff. I don't want any more. This is it. That's all I've got.
We had an interesting experience when we went to the Yucatan. We had these big, heavy packs that we were lugging around everywhere. And then I think we had like a few days left on our trip. And we put our packs in a locker and then just went back out, and we didn't even miss them. It was weird. So we were carrying around all this extra stuff, and it felt so liberating because these packs were darn heavy. And we just went off, and it was just like, it's just
yeah, and that's the thing that I whittled it down to a little 36-litre sack because you can't do anything.
Right.
If you've got a 75-litre sack on your back,
yep,
you can't do anything. So I have one of those little mag light torches that were about 3 inches long, and that was my torch. And a little skinny, I think I've thrown it out now. I had a little skinny clock, and that was basically it then. So yes, stuff. It's a really interesting conversation, Phil, because I know for me personally, having stuff makes me feel trapped. It's really interesting. Now here, as you saw earlier, I'm surrounded by books.
Right. But it's interesting. So this is not where you're living right now, is not your home. You're living in, is it your home? Do you have part share in that home, or is it?
No, I don't own it. No.
Right.
No. Well, you think I did with the stuff I've got, and also from, doing, like when I was doing festivals and stuff, stuff, because I used to do festivals and events to promote, the raw food lifestyle and natural living. So with that comes stuff.
Right.
But what? It's really interesting. Every element that I do in life has got a very physical component to it.
Right.
But I think for me, I need that physical component to ground me out.
Right.
Because it's too easy for me. I'm a Pisces, right? It's too easy for me to float off into the ether and be no bloody use at all and be completely ungrounded.
Okay.
So for me, like you were saying about an anchor for my ship needs a really good anchor. Otherwise, I just float around, swim around, do nothing, go in all directions at the same time, hopeless.
So, maybe that's why you still need to be doing this building work, and you maybe not doing the other stuff. It's too floaty, the other stuff. So you maybe need the building work to kind of keep you connected.
Well, it balances. Yeah, it definitely does balance me out. There's no doubt about that. So that's where in my life and lifestyle, it's about navigating a way through that. And that for me personally is really difficult because it means, I really need to change my life.
Right.
And that's yeah. It's like, how would you do that? That's a $1 million question, and it's just investigate. It's just continual investigation, isn't it?
So if it was all gone tomorrow, boom, all gone, how would that feel?
Be careful what we wish for, right?
No, I'm just saying, like,
I know.
Susan was like the other day, she's like, I wish that the thing would just burn down and then I wouldn't have to think about what to do with all this stuff. So like sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
but it's like nature does that. It's like we're all say that the Hawaii has like it's all everything's growing and abundant, and then a volcano comes and wipes everything out, and then it all stops again. Because I was saying, like we were talking about this last week, it's like all this stuff we're gonna let go, and it's gonna come back. Like it's just because stuff just comes at you. It's like you can't. It's just like okay, we're in this space, and this wow, it's probably like this physical, spiritual, emotional, mental association with this stuff that comes into your space, good and bad. I mean, it doesn't have to be bad, it just is, you know. So, and I was like, well, if we let this go, then something will come back that's different or better or what we need in that moment, you know. It'll just come back to us. And if we're in this thing like, oh, if I let go of this, I won't be able to get another one. And like, so we basically we had this commercial dehydrator that Susan worked hard to find, but we're like, well, you know, it's kind of big and bulky, so we sold it. Somebody paid us more than we paid for it. And it's like, if we need another one, then it'll come back in, you know, it'll flow back in, and someone will give us one, or we'll find one, or we'll, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Energy flowing. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, and the thing for you guys is you've got a real purpose.
Yeah.
You know, you're on a mission. You're not just moving to the other end of the city or the next state.
Right.
Whereas I bet your moving would look very different if you were just moving to the next state or the next city.
Well, we've done that a bunch where it was like we've had a lot of moves. So we were in Patagonia, Tree of Life. We'd been there. I'd been there 10 years, and then we moved to California, and then we moved from one California apartment to another California apartment, then from California to Tucson to Phoenix, and then Phoenix to a second apartment. So we've moved all like that's in 10 years. So
wow.
But we got big trucks and stuffed it full of stuff, and we couldn't be totally attached to everything because it's like too much to take. So we did have to let go. But this is definitely different, you know. So the actual couch that I gave away yesterday has been with us since Escondido. So we had that couch for 10 years. So we had some connection to it. It was Shiva's favorite couch. He couldn't get on it anymore. Molly stood on it to look out the window. It was my couch, you know. And it was really interesting. We had that couch for 10 years, and it still looked as good as when we got it, and it was used then. So
oh wow.
Yeah. So we paid $50 for it, and we sold it for $50.
That's marvelous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's fantastic.
So yeah, now it's just whittling down like things that like we've got certain things that and so like talking about like there is association, and we do create homes. We are nesting creatures, and we like to have a nice home with things around us, whether it's crystals, rocks, books, and there is some good energy in those too. It doesn't have to all be negative. There's some magic in books that people have put energy into writing those books, and I like to sit around and have books on the shelves, even if I'm not looking at them or reading them. There's almost a knowledge and an energy that they pull in, especially good quality, well thought out books. It's nice to have them around, you know. And the same with crystals and nice ornaments and things. There's an energy. There's people have put energy into creating that, so it's creation. So
yeah,
feels good to have some of those things around.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's the divine play. So, and like Susan decided, she's like, well, I've got all these ornaments. Like I don't want them in a box. So if they have to be out. So it's like, cause these people, you get all these ornaments you'll save and put them in a box somewhere and put them in the attic. It's like, well, what's the point of that? Like, it's like, if you're going to have them, display them, share them, like feel the energy of them so people can see them. And if not, like pass it on to somebody else who will do that, or throw it away or whatever. So yeah.
So I was off. I was thinking about stuff then when you were in that. Yeah, it's really, and I'm sure for people that are going to watch this, it's going to bring up stuff. They're going to go, oh yeah, I've got that in the loft. Oh, I've got that under the bed. Oh, I've got that stuffed in the back of the cupboard. You know, maybe I'll get rid of that. Oh, I've got that book that, you know, I got rid of a load of nutrition books probably 3 or 4 years ago now, because I kind of outgrown them. I'd moved through them.
Right.
Because they were books on nutrition. And if you've got an ailment, what supplement to take.
Right.
Well, now because I've moved through symptomology, because that's what it is. Even with vitamins and minerals and aminos, people are still treating symptoms.
Right.
So because I'm not into symptomology now, I'm into detoxification and rejuvenation. Then, you know, a whole wad your books went, which was oh, I love getting rid of stuff.
Yeah.
I love getting rid of stuff. So probably, yeah. One other thing I've found is it's always easier if there's someone helping that isn't as attached.
Well, that did happen to us. So within this little community we have, this raw food community, we had a couple of friends come over, and one of them just came in and helped Susan in the closet, and just like, oh, you don't need all these clothes. You don't need these. Like, and she helped Susan like blast through. And like, if Susan had been on her own doing it, she would have been like, well, I got this then, and I did, you know. But with a friend being there, it was like easier to let go of those things. So, and I've done the same thing with friends coming over and taking stuff. It's like, I was like, nope, you know, it just makes it easier. So
yeah, because they've got it's so much easier to get rid of someone else's stuff because there is no attachment.
Right.
But I think I have the useful gene.
The useful gene.
Because I go, oh, that's useful. Not necessarily, I don't go, oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's lovely. I go, oh, that's useful.
Right.
Oh, I'll have that because that's useful. So, oh, I have all sorts of stuff because it's useful. And often it's useful. But I've got a lot of unused, useful stuff.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing this for a while at the manufacturing facility where I really clean out. I'm like, if we're not using this, we're getting rid of it. So I've got rid of all sorts of old equipment and stuff. And I'm just like, I just put it up, and I'm like, I start off with like, I'll get a little price. No one wants it. I give stuff away for free because I'm just like, that's holding back the company. So I think like I've done that a lot, and it really frees up the energy where like, so I really like the energy to flow in the facility, but there's this corner of all this old stuff that's being held on to. I feel it blocks the energy. So then I just like, I get rid of it. So, and pass it on. And it really helps free the energy up a lot. So.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Phil. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So if you've had something for months or a year or something, like pull it out, like, okay, well, I've not used this for a year. It's been in a box. Is it really useful to me? Or maybe it's useful to somebody else. They really need this anymore. So yeah, I sold this old tablet press the other day. I got $10,000 for it. And I kind of been holding on to it. I'm like, well, maybe we'll use it again. We don't make tablets anymore. The only tablet we made is spirulina, and we had a hard time with it because it was an old machine. But I was like, I'm gonna put it online, and this guy was so happy. He like shipped it to Texas and bought it, and he's figuring out how to make tablets. So yeah. So, but wow. It would have just sat there gathering dust, and now it's been used by somebody.
True. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Stuff. It's really interesting. So Tim's commented, he said, I have learned that if I do not use it within 4 weeks, it's given out to someone who needs it.
4 weeks? Wow, Tim. Tim's like freaking like lightweight. He's like, I used this in the last 10 minutes. It's out.
I think Tim needs to come and hang out with me for a few days. I like that.
I know, he needs to clear you out. Isn't there some like TV show where it's like the hoarders, crazy hoarders? Somebody comes in and gets rid of all the stuff. And then usually like, wasn't it like the funny thing? Some people are hoarders, right? It's like, it's just natural. Like, so we took this, somebody bought this armoire. They call it an armoire. It's a wooden cabinet, really nice. I took it to them. Went to the house. The house was crammed of stuff. I'm like, some people just do that, right? I mean, whether it's emotional or it's just their nature. Yeah, I don't know. Some people just hoard stuff, and they do those shows where people hoard all that stuff, and then they give it all away, and then they come back like 6 months later, and it's all back. So it's interesting. So whether that would be you, I mean, are you really that attached to all these things? Is it? Do you think if somebody gave all that away, you would have it? It would come back to you because you need it?
I would find some other useful things to have.
So you would pull it back in.
I would pull back in useful things.
Useful
I'm like a
thing.
bloody useful. I'm like a useful thing magnet. People go, "Oh, Phil, I've got this really useful thing. Do you want it?" And you know, when we're at work, Amy that helps me, she says, "Oh, Phil, this will be useful." I'm like, "Yeah, where are we going to put it? In the driver's seat of the van, in the roof, up the shed? Where are we going to put it?" And she's like, "Oh, but it would be useful." I'm like, "Absolutely, throw it on the skip." Because it's just, you know, it's so I'm getting better because I'm at my limit. And I know that. So it's just like, no, chuck it out. I don't want it. Chuck it out.
So I mean, they talk about this like also on a spiritual level. We talk about this like, you know, when your cup is full, you can't take any more in. So is it like, because it's got to be represented on all levels. So if you're like, are you not allowing? Am I not? I mean, I'm saying you because I'm talking about myself too. Like, is there certain things we're holding on to on the physical level that are not allowing new energies to come in?
Yeah.
Because our cup's so full, we can't take in any more spiritual energy. But if we let go of certain physical items,
but I do wonder, right, if the outer, so which is which, right? Is the outer a reflection of the inner? So
right.
We're so full up that we gather physical things to show us that we're full up. That's my sense, is actually we're gathering all this stuff because it's showing us that we're full up. And you know, whether it's debris, toxins, or information. And I remember one teacher said to me back in 2003, I think it was, in New Zealand, and when I was out there, and she said, "Phil, if you don't start teaching, you're not going to learn anything else because your cup's full."
So okay, there you go.
So the only way that you're going to make room for more information is to share it.
Right. Well, it's the old statement, it's receive in order to share. So you've received all this stuff and it's like you're not letting it go, you're not releasing it back into the universe. And
I actually get the sense that that's the physical stuff that's useful. Is because I'm not fulfilling myself, so I have to have useful stuff, you know. And that's the whole thing with teaching. It's Tim just wrote, "Luckily, if my cup is full and someone offers me more coffee, I get an extra cup." Tim, I do that with sheds.
Sheds.
Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you get an extra cup for coffee or you get an extra shed for useful stuff, it's the same thing. It's more than what you need. So the other thing,
so it's like Tim's like going, well, I don't have much physical stuff, but he's still doing it. Like, because we go, well, look at that person with all that physical stuff, but then you're there with the extra cup of coffee or the extra whatever it is, you know. So
I've seen
something you don't really need.
I've seen him at work getting stuck into that cake, Phil.
So he needs the extra piece of cake.
I took him a piece of cake into work right one day, and I thought he would wait till he got home.
He inhaled it.
I put it on the counter. The lid was off, and his fingers were in it. And I was like, "Oh, so yeah, we've got that one, sus, Tim."
Yeah,
he hasn't got an extra shed, but he's got an extra cup.
That's kind of like me with if somebody gives me a raw dessert or raw chocolate, it's gone. But you kind of do that with chocolate. You just eat it. There's no way you could save the chocolate bar. You have to eat it immediately.
Oh, these people, man, that can sit and have like a spoonful of cake or a square of chocolate. I mean, It's like when I used to drink beer, right, Phil? People would say, should we go and have a quick one? Well, there's never, for me, one was no point at all. I might as well drink Coca-Cola as drink a pint of beer, because it's just like, why would you do that? You know, why would you have one spoonful of dessert? Why would you have one square of chocolate? I either have the whole bloody bar or I don't want any. Do you know what I mean? It's really simple for me.
I'm just trying to think if I ever drank a pint of beer.
I don't think I ever drank one.
No, I mean,
I think I always drank a few.
yeah. I mean, I drank some beer out of bottles, but I don't think I went to a pub and had. I think I might have once at college gone and had some pint of, maybe it was a pint of cider or something. I hated it. I just never did it.
So now I can see we're going. So I'm gonna finish off this thing that Tim said, and then get back to you about the drinking thing. Right? Tim said, with teaching, you become the useful stuff.
Ah, nice. That's good.
Tim's defending his cake and coffee now, because he's saying you were born with two hands for a reason. And Tim, that's actually, mate, just in case you didn't know, that's so you can have a hammer in one hand and a saw in the other hand. That's why Jesus was a carpenter, right?
We all have our own metaphors of how we make meaning of this life, right? I was talking to that with a friend. Like, we all make meaning, whatever it is. Because, like, we could go, well, everything's for a purpose. But it's like, well, that's just the meaning we put to it. We're like, life sucks, or this happens for this reason. It doesn't matter. Maybe it does have a meaning. Maybe it doesn't. But, like, we put that meaning to it. We create that meaning, whatever it is. So.
And I'll tell you what, though, Phil, Tim's statements it's really interesting, because with what he wrote is, with teaching, you become the useful stuff.
Right.
I guess, though, the challenge is recognizing your useful stuff, because to me, again, all the information I've got is stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's recognizing the value for other people, and then it's being able to, in this day and age now, right, it's really difficult, actually, or I'll hold my hands up and go, I find it really difficult to package it, because that's what it's all about, is packaging it and presenting it. That's, if I had,
is that because you want it to be perfect?
No, it's just because of not knowing where to start. For example, right, Phil, I know that if I had 20 people and I sat in a room with them, I can talk to them all night, sharing information with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy. How do you get 20 people in the room? Do you know what I mean? That's the challenge. And it's even harder now than it was 50. What's bizarre now with all the social media, this is my experience as well, and I guess because I'm not from that real era, I'm that bit older than that, is the social media thing. It's like people are so overwhelmed with stuff, that unless you stand out impeccably, it's difficult for people to recognize that useful stuff as opposed to just stuff.
You lost me a little bit there.
Probably lost myself as well.
It's Tim writing again.
Yeah. So, do you know what? I think it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter here. It's unbelievable.
What temperature is it?
I have no idea. I'm sat indoors.
Oh.
I have absolutely no clue what temperature is at all. All I can tell you is it's vest temperature and sweaty.
So what I thought you were going to say was, I don't remember now. Wow, my brain just like froze then. That was cool.
I know, right? Tim, that's a bit cryptic, man. He's leaving me cryptic clues in the messages now, Phil.
Oh, yeah. So I thought you were going to say about it's hard to get people together because everything has to be online now. Like everyone's doing everything online. So but we don't want that. We want to come together with people in person. So we want to create that thing. And I was thinking about that. So I told you about, I created this board game, which I want to put out there for free. Basically, I'm trying to figure out a way to do it. But I don't want to create an online thing. I want it to be like this thing that brings people together. Because we did this one, we played it here in my house and in the apartment, and it created such amazing discussions, and it was really fun. So I want to create something like that that's physical, that brings people together. And I think we need that more than ever, like ways to bring people together again, because everyone's got so dependent on online, contactless life, right? That's an interesting metaphor.
Phil, I like that. You should write that down. I think that's really good.
So well, think about it. It's like everything has to be contact free. Like there's nobody at the checkouts anymore because it's all digital, and you don't even use your card anymore. I think it's more, you're actually a little bit ahead there than America is, because most people still use a physical card here. But I know you like your cards are all like contactless and
contactless cards.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we're in this contactless society, right? And wow, that metaphor goes so deep, like disconnected. We're disconnected from nature, from reality, deeply disconnected. All of us, you and I included.
Oh, I feel and experience so much disconnection, and I have. Do you know what? I have all of my life. When it comes to society, I've always felt very disconnected, and it's the thing with insulation, Phil, right? So all of our houses are insulated, our lives are insulated, and with insulation becomes
sealed off, like hermetically sealed off from the earth, from nature, from the elements,
from nature. So with insulation creates isolation, right? If you're that fully insulated, nothing can get in.
Right.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, that was it. That was the end of my deep meaning sentence.
I just we're going to interrupt each other. So I was listening to this show on natural building, and he was just talking about how disconnected disconnected and temporary, and like, so they create these like new buildings and with drywall, and then the drywall is going to mold, so then you have to put plastic sealer in there to stop the moisture getting through, and then you have to hermetically seal everything, and then it's like the whole building sealed, so then you got to artificially bring air in through a machine which totally ionizes the air with positive ions, and like this whole thing, whereas like and it's just like just disconnects us. But then when you build with natural materials, it will still stay connected to the elements. And these buildings too are also square, like these square edges, these unnatural edges. And we kind of got to return to natural building again, because it's going to reconnect us. But these buildings, these modern buildings, are very disconnected.
Yeah, and if you look at the feng shui of all the modern buildings, everything's out. The doorway width, the doorway height, the windows, all the aperture openings, they're all out. They're all designed, or I say designed, either they're designed or by purpose or by accident to create lack.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, people in general, like the architects are just following along, but somebody intentionally take us this direction, perhaps, But well, I mean, old buildings used to be like, well, what's going on with the energy of the earth in this location? Do I need to move things around? Like, it's like, what about the rocks or the river or the water flowing under this land? Like, all of those things were thought about. But now it's just like, we're going to build here because this is prime real estate. I'm going to build this building in the square and high as possible to use the most. It's all like it's very heady, very, very head driven. Not connected.
I mean, if it's not purposefully done, it's an incredible accident. Because after I did the after I did the geomancy training, and we learned something called the Luban. Huh, look at this.
What's that?
This is the Luban tape measure, right? Look at this
Okay.
Look at this carefully, Phil.
Can't quite see. Well, it's got all sorts of grades on there.
Put it. Hang on, I'll put it this way.
Oh, it's upside down. So what am I seeing? There's a lot of different grades there.
So can you see here, right on the bottom is metric.
Right.
At the top is imperial.
Right.
And then in the middle, you've got what you call the Luban and I think it's called the Dingbang.
Okay.
So one is about life and one's about death. So the top one is the Luban, right? The top one there is the Luban.
Right.
That one there. And that measurement there tells you all about. So there's the chart for it, right?
Okay.
So for instance, if you've got an English business card, right? So this can be any aperture or anything, right? So this is about size and energy flow. So if we measure it this way, it's 84 mil, right? So it's 8.4, 8 to 9.4. The energy of that is going to jail. Right?
Oh, wow.
This way, if I do it across this way, it's 5.4 centimeters. So the energy across that way is money retreats.
Wow. And that's built into a business card because those business cards are pretty much standard, right?
Yes, but the American one's okay in one direction.
Oh, interesting.
But this is an English business card, right? And it's all about, one's about loss of money retreat, so loss of money. And the other way, so that way is about loss of money. That way is the energy of going to prison. You're handing that out to people.
Wow. And this is just, wow, this is just a tiny example, but think of all these things like the location, the route, your doors, your windows, your living space, your bedroom, your bed.
I've measured it all.
Yeah.
And nothing that's standard is for wealth and prosperity and health. Nothing. A 4'6" bed. Well, I can tell you now, right, what a 4'6" bed means. So hold on to your hats because it ain't very nice. I think it's there. 4'6". 4'6".
Disappear from the screen for 1 second. I'm still here though.
Oh man, I don't know if I can work this out quickly.
You got it.
No, I don't think I can do that, Phil. Where does that stick? Because it only works. It works every 43. Cool. It works every 43 centimeters.
The guy picked up the magnets. There was just a message that came in to those magnets I mentioned. I left them outside the door, and the guy found them. So
54 inches. So let's see what that looks like on the other end of my tape measure. So this just gives us an idea, right? So that,
yeah, I mean, it's really like, just while you're figuring that out, it's just like in the past, like the pyramids, ancient buildings, they were designed and built with this awareness. There's a lot of people now talking about the Tartarian Empire and different things like that was basically wiped out. Like it's an American thing, probably in the UK somewhere too, where they had these world's fairs where they were like, oh, look at all this new technology and these new buildings, and then they destroyed them after 2 months. But basically what really was going on was those buildings were old, it's a different civilization. They basically wiped them out. It was a great reset. So they do these great resets, and then they bring in like new things like we're going through right now, they're trying to bring in the new normal, which is more and more disconnected from reality.
It's about being smart, isn't it?
Smart, yep. The smart cities, the smart.
Yeah, this is I'm being serious. That they're using this word smart,
right.
and actually, what smart means is we're going to become really disconnected and isolated because alien intelligence is going to be running the world. Sorry,
Right.
I mean artificial intelligence.
Yeah, exactly.
So, a 4'6" bed, which is a standard English bed, Phil, right? The measurement is death of spouse.
Death of spells.
Spouse.
Oh, what? Oh God.
So you can imagine when I first did my geomancy training and I came home, I measured everything. I measured
like, what the heck? And these are all standard sizes, right?
everything that's standard energetically is working against us. So the height of a table, the height of a chair, a door opening, the bedroom door, the front door, the back door, the windows, my chopping board.
Mm-hmm.
So what did I do? I got my ruler out and I cut a chopping board. So when I make myself anything, right?
Yeah.
I do my best to make it to that ruler size.
Right.
Anything that I make. So my
what size is the sign, Phil? What size is our Phil and Phil show sign?
I didn't check that, Phil.
You didn't check that? Oh shit. We're in trouble.
320. Maybe I did. So 32.
Sounds like a nice number.
Oh shit.
I think you're going to be remaking our sign, buddy.
I'm going to cut that up. 30 well 30.9 actually. Yeah, well, yeah. It's a disaster, Phil. It's 321, right? 322. So either, right? Severe loss of money.
Oh, gee.
Or disaster.
You better cut that up. You better cut the section off that sign.
That's one way. This way. Oh, that means I've got to go again, doesn't it? That means I've got to go. Where's my tape measure? Oh. Yeah, that means I've got to go again. Okay. Yeah. Oh, this is naughty. 554. 554. What does that relate?
So the first step, like with this, is really the awareness of it, that these things are all affecting us or influencing us. And it was probably by design, a lot of it, because it robs us of energy and power. But if we start to because we're more powerful once we realize this stuff, it's so important. Everything is so important. So what's the other way?
Well, it's in a good luck box.
Okay, good.
Blessed with many children.
Well, we'll take that.
So that's so I've got that in a good luck box, but just about.
Need to cut the cut a little bit off the other one.
Yeah, I definitely will do. I will definitely get my. Oh, I can't do that. It's too big. I don't know how I do that, but I'll definitely figure that out, Phil. Interesting. Yeah, we need if it was a bit bigger, we'd be into unexpected income.
Well, just glue something to the side.
So I make it a bit so I get another one made. I ought to get my mate to make it again and say, look, I need it this big now.
Right. And then we need to make sure our logo has the same ratio.
Wow. Yeah. So do you see what I mean? So that's not like me. I was trying to get business cards done right, but man, does that cost some money if you want them made to a purpose size?
A custom size, yeah.
And basically what all the wealthy people do his have everything. Have you noticed they have it all custom made?
Ah, true.
I went to see some guys, right, that were part of the Fleming's Bank in London. I went to
Hmm.
look at a job for them, and and they wanted a utility bill created. And I said, "Oh, well, we can, I can get you a Howden's catalog." And she was like, "No way! It needs to be bespoke for us." And I was like, "Oh, of course it does." Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. So
So,
I had a friend that when I think it was both Susan and I, when I was leaving the Tree of Life and I wanted I was looking for more work. He had this thing in his mind that he wanted me to send these letters out on this certain size paper. And it was like, and it had to be this linen paper, but it was a
right,
certain size. So the standard was this size, but I don't know if he just done this. It was passed down to him or something, but he wanted us to get this paper and cut it. So it had to be a certain height. So I had to get this paper specially made and get these certain envelopes and fold it a certain way. And we sent out, and that's how I got the job where I'm at right now. And I sent out like hundreds of those. But he's like, it's got to be this paper, these dimensions, and like I don't think he knew, but there's some of this knowledge is there. Like certain things are that way, and other things are off for the general public. Our standards are off, but like you say, there's other standards that we, us commoners, us common peasant folks, don't know about or just learning about. This is a great show here. This is great information of like, wow, just being aware of our space and the dimensions of things and just feeling it out. If something feels wrong, if a room feels off, look at that. Is it the dimensions? Is it the height of the window ledge or whatever? It could be anything. So
the thing when you're living in a pre-existing place, it's really difficult to
right, yeah.
potentially put your bed so your head's in the east. It's really, in in the terms of feng shui, right? My bed is in the east, which is really good, but the head of my bed's against the window, which is not good.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So what I've got to weigh up is the magic and misfortune. So if my head was in the north and beneath a window, I mean that would be double misfortune.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I've got a 4'6" bed with the head against the window
Right.
is not great. It's not. So what we've got to look at these boxes as it's not necessarily about what it specifically says. It's about looking at them as good luck and bad luck to make it really simple.
Or this is what I got. So what do I need to do to overcome this? Like, do I need
Yeah,
to add some crystals or
yeah.
or
Yeah.
something like that?
What I was getting at was though, Phil, with the measurement thing, it's very specific.
Ah, got it.
But if you break it down simply, it's good luck and
Right.
bad luck. So
Yeah.
if it's the difference between being in for instance, right, we're in that one measurement, we're in blessed with many good children, right?
Mhm.
But if we were like a centimeter less, we would then be in everything will be lost or stolen.
Wow.
One, I'm talking that much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so that would, as our business, the Phil and Phil show, we haven't got anything to lose, right?
Right. Yeah. But we're
apart
not
from
going
our
to gain anything either.
apart from our sign.
Right.
But therefore we just need to look at the fact that it's not good luck.
Mm-hmm.
And often with things like signs, business cards, all those kind of things, chopping boards, it's quite often difficult to get both dimensions in the good luck zone.
Right.
So what we need to do is be getting one measurement in the good luck zone.
Right.
right? So, you know, it's like having your bed in the east with beneath the window. Just pull it away from the window a little bit. Make sure that you can draw the curtain behind the bed.
Right.
So you've got that little bit of protection. But or the other option was me having my head in the north, which apparently is, you know, it's really grim. So it's you know, and also with this stuff, with all this information it's as we learn, we can change and adapt, and sometimes we can't change and adapt because of the situation that we're in,
Right.
you know, and that's okay. We just have to make, like you were saying earlier, you then put some crystals by the bed, you then um put a picture up, you then put, you know, you put good luck symbols up, so you focus on the luck as opposed to misfortune. So that's, you know, that's what we look, what we need to be looking at more and more and more is what can we do to encourage good luck in our lives, and what can we do to discourage bad luck.
Right.
You know, and that's what we need to be doing, is encouraging good luck. And of course, if we were taught this stuff in school instead of the shit that we're taught that is absolutely useless,
Right.
we might do quite well in life.
Because there is, like, I mean, because yeah, we're taught all these different math and stuff like that, but then there's like, we're not taught sacred geometry, like these things. Like, we're taught all this kind of useless stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, most of the stuff we're taught in, like, I remember doing maths at school. It was complete nonsense,
Right.
because it had no relativity to my life, and
Yeah.
it wasn't for me, it wasn't engaging.
Yeah, I mean, if we've been taught of examples of like, hey, look at this old building and look at the dimensions of how it's laid out and how it is on the earth and the ley lines, and it'd be like, whoa, that's so cool. That would be interesting. But we're like this disconnected, like X equals Y minus Z. Like, it's like, what? Like, but if we were taught those in context to sacred geometry and building and land and earth energies and ley lines, it would be like, wow, this is useful and
something of interest, right? You know, it's like,
yeah, empowering.
For example, right, when I was a kid and I was really into nature, and my dad and my granddad were gamekeepers, so I was really into all of that, you know, totally. And they were at school, they were trying to teach me to add up and take away with complete irrelevant nonsense. And then later on, I learned that for the pheasant pens that we were building then, you needed a yard of wire for every pheasant. So if you were keeping 1,000 pheasants, you need 1,000 yards.
Okay.
Well, that's not difficult maths to do, is it?
Right. No.
But what a great way to engage somebody. But
right.
If someone would have taught me maths like that, I'd have been a genius, because I'd have actually been interested. You know, so or farming, for example, right? If they'd have got me, because I was mad on farming. I was the gamekeeper of farming when I was a kid. I was mad on it. And so, you know, that's the other way. It's like working out acreages. You know, how many acres is that field? And if you've got that many acres of a field and you need that many seeds, you know, and then you've got the amount of seeds, the amount of weight, you've got then at the end of it, you've got the harvest, you've got the yield, you've got the bales and the straw. You know, if I could have learned in something that was relative to my interest, I'd have learned. But I mean,
yeah.
What's really interesting, right, Phil? When I was at school, I learned metric. Probably the same. I'm a bit older than you, but I was just in on the metric. I must have been, because we went metric in 1973. Oh wow! Do you know what? I didn't realise that. We went metric in 1973, and I started school in 1974.
Wow.
So actually, that was probably I was probably one of the very early kids in England to have been to have been taught, rather learned,
Mhm.
metric. I didn't
Right.
realize that. I mean, I had these stupid little bloody 1 centimeter cubes that for me weren't relative to anything. And when I left school, the only measuring I could do was imperial, because my dad and my granddad and then the guys that I apprenticed with would still all use imperial. And I'm
Right.
only just now using metric,
Right.
just using metric now. I've
Mhm.
had to kind of teach myself because lots of stuff is, well, most building materials are metric, not all, interestingly enough.
Mhm.
So in England now, plasterboard's metric, plywood's imperial.
It's so weird. Like it's like crazy. Like
And all of our doors now are still imperial. 2666, 2969, they're all imperial doors.
mhm.
They did try putting metric doors out in the 80s. So we got loads of housing estates in Britain that have been built with metric doors. But the carpenters wouldn't have it.
Ah, interesting.
So all of our doors are still, all of our wooden doors are still imperial.
So I wonder if there's more. There's probably there's been a lot of resistance to that shift, but because in America it's like people still use the inches and majority, unless it comes to technical equipment. So yeah, they usually measure things in metric for technical equipment, lab equipment, stuff like that. So it's just interesting. So
The
but I wonder
thing,
if there's a little more sacredness to the imperial, maybe.
totally. I mean, it's when you go back, if you look at imperial measurements, you then got if they were hedge laying, they would lay
Mhm.
hedges in links and chains.
Right.
So I can't remember now how many yards is in a link. So you've got, I mean, I could look it up, but you've got so many yards in a link, then you've got so many links in a chain. And that's what they used to use for hedge laying. But it all comes back. It all comes back down. And you can work it all the way out. And everything is related to everything else.
Right.
But nothing, it's like nowadays a litre of water weighs a kilogram.
Right.
But a pint of water weighs 1 pound and a quarter. Interesting, isn't it? So there was always these little rhymes of yeah, oh, Tim, because millimeters are smaller and more accurate than an eighth of an inch. Man, you ain't got to get any closer than an eighth of an inch. What's wrong with you? Building, you're lucky if you get within half an inch, let alone an eighth. I had a mate, I had a mate of mine coming over from America, and I was building him a patio, and he said, I've got this patio laid out to the nearest millimeter. I said, a millimeter on a patio? He said, yeah. I was like, man, that ain't going to work. Why not? Because you don't lay slabs to a mill. If we get that overall area to within half an inch, we've done well.
Mhm.
And he's like, oh, because you get the slabs, some of them are 5 mil bigger or smaller than the others.
Exactly.
So therefore you can't. Oh, so Tim's he's going for it now. A litre of water is a pint and a quarter. But no, it isn't, Tim. It isn't. You nearly had me there. It isn't. A litre of water is not a pint and a quarter. Come on, if you're going to chuck facts at me, man, you better be accurate. I'm a bit older than you are.
So thinking about these things, so I think about my dad a lot. Like he always says, I'm not good at math, right? But yet he can like design a building or an extension or a garden, and it's in his psyche or his consciousness. He can see it, lays it all out. It's beautiful, but he's like, well, I'm not good at math. I'm like, well, you're using math. Or and the first example that like connected that with me that like was when you cross a road and you see a car coming, you're actually doing all this math, figuring out how. But we weren't taught any of that. It's like that's just like there's this intuitive thing, like you start to pick up, like we pick up the just the energy. I don't know what to say. I'm just, I'm clutching here, but
no, I mean, what you're talking about there is intuition. What you're
right,
talking about there is what AI can't do.
right.
You know,
But there's a thing to it. There is a magic and a science to it. Like somebody build like these stone walls that have been there for hundreds of years. They look like a big mess, but they're freaking solid. They ain't going nowhere. They get the wind, the storms, and then you get a modern brick wall with a concrete foundation, and the thing falls down in 10 years. Because and these stone walls, they don't have any cement. They're just like a bunch of old rocks stuck together, but there's actually a magic that was passed down from generations to build that. Whereas we're building stuff now that's like, it's not connected to any of that,
I'll tell you what's funny in our village, right, Phil? Down the road, we got some really old cottages from, well, I know there's one that's, I got a bit of wood out of this cottage, right? Me and a mate of mine put some new lintels in because they were rotten. And they were built, I think she said they were built in 1784. Right, but this bit of wood I've got is from out of a ship. So the house was built in 1784, and it was a reclaimed bit of timber from out of the ship. I mean, how incredible is that?
Well, that's the other thing I've been learning. We no longer know how to cure wood properly. Like we cure it with chemicals, but back then they knew how to preserve wood, how to dry it properly. Now it's just like, grab this cheap bit of wood, saturate it in chemicals. But then they knew how to, actually the timing of it. I was listening to this.
I was just gonna actually say that.
When to chop the tree down, what time of the year, what time of the day, how to preserve it, how to dry it. Like we've lost all of that. Now it's just all like, oh, grab this bit of wood and.
So if you cut wood on a certain day that's a high water day, then the wood becomes fireproof. And it won't burn. If you cut the wood on a very low water content day, then it makes good firewood and it dries out well. So they would take an oak tree, for example, and they would look at the oak tree for building ships, and they would look at the oak tree as a ship. So if they had a branch going up like that, then they'd use that for the front of the ship. If they had a branch going out like that, they knew that would be a cross member. So what they did was they used the tree as it grew. And our wood's crap now, being a carpenter, right? I mean, it's got so bad in my time of using timber. And they don't care where it's come from, how it's cut. It's just thrashed out the woods, thrashed through, dried, preserved, treated, bam, it's out again. And it's terrible. Right. So, you've got so if you, I can't remember now with fence posts, but if you cut fence posts on a certain day, they wouldn't rot. If you've got to cut timber in the middle of the winter, if you don't want to get beetle in it, any form of woodworm, because it's all about the day, literally the day that it's cut. And it's fascinating, once you start to get into those subjects. It's interesting, isn't it? We were just talking about stuff and things, and here we are now talking about sacredness, and of course it's all connected because we've naturally flowed into talking about, I don't know a great deal about sacred measurements, but it's you definitely get the hang. It's all connected.
Well, I mean, I know you have a feeling for it. When something's off. You've been doing it for a long time. So that's what I was kind of saying is like, you might not know the exact details, but in your being when something's off. Like you're like, something's off here. Maybe you don't know exactly what it is, but you're like, something's off with this layout, this plot of land, this location, or this tree's not happy because of whatever. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I do. I fit. I had a guy a friend of mine do a picture for me, and it was a photograph. And so he got someone to redo the picture for me and gave it me, and he unwrapped it. And I was like, the red's a bit off. And he said, no, that's how it is. And he's an artist, my friend. And I took it home, I showed my sister, and she's like, oh, no, the green's off. And I'm like, it's not the green. It's not the green. And then she said, look at the house. It's not the red either. And I was like, oh, what is it then? And then it was a picture of it was an aerial view of my granddad's house from years ago. And he had a little blue van. And I said, look, it must be the blue because the van's bright. It's like it's like bright blue. And then when I started looking, the galvanized sheeting was a blue color, and the clear plastic on the little pheasant pens was blue. And it's like, I bet you it's the blue that's thrown the red out because he would have lifted the blue in the picture. But it's interesting. I saw the red, and my sister saw the blue. My sister saw the green. But what I've just twigged there is the red and the green are received by the same receptors in the eyes.
Interesting.
So it's interesting that she saw the green and I saw the red, but actually it's the same receptors in the eyes that picks up red and green. So yeah, so sometime I've got to broach the subject and go visit my friend and go, oh, could you get him to do another picture for me? But for him, it's a lot of work because he's got to take all the tape out, take all the fittings out, and it's a lot of work. So I don't know, but I will go and ask him because I'm not happy with it. And if I've got, he did it as a bit of a favor as well, so it always makes it a bit difficult. But anyway, that story is about, I knew something was off, but I couldn't pinpoint it until actually my sister showed me something. And I'm like, no, it's not that.
Right.
But I got there in the end.
So, and I think that's exactly right there. That's what's going to take us back. It's like we have to work hard to follow that, where like, okay, this is off. We're going to follow that. Because we tend to like ignore, oh, it's off, whatever. Just push it aside. We push it aside. And then we have to follow that because it's going to take us to the magic, where it's going to reconnect us what we knew before. Because we all know. Because I was thinking about this too, is like the way the world is today. They're trying to take away everything, all knowledge, all wisdom. But as I was saying, I was thinking about it. I was like, as I was giving this stuff away, I was like, well, it's actually not. It's back to stuff again. It actually didn't really go anywhere because we know the greater thing is it's still in the field of energy. So they can take away everything from us and it really doesn't matter because the energy is still going to be in the field. They can try and disconnect us from that, but it's still there. That wisdom and that magic and that sacredness is always there. It's always there. So
and I think for a lot of us, the majority of us, stuff is about we're searching. I think this conversation has brought me to that, is we're searching for something. Right. And I know for me, hold my hand up, this is about me, is I'm groping in the dark for stuff, for something. And of course, as soon as you find that something, everything else around that can go. So I think for me, it's searching. It's because I'm searching for stuff. And until I'm probably always going to be a searcher, right? Because that's my nature.
Right.
So
it's interesting. Like, so, I mean, we've talked about this moment for a long time. When I came back to England, I spent the month there, and every day I was in nature. Like, the more I did that, I didn't need anything. It was like I was satisfied by that. It was like, it was like I'm good. I was happy without, and it was like, yeah, there was simple things. Sure, I was doing things and I was riding my bike and I had some things, but I was just happy, joyful without needing to go out and buy more stuff,
Yeah.
And I was connecting to the trees and the wisdom of the trees and the nature and the stream and And
definitely, Phil, and I totally relate to that because when I was born in nature, and for me, I don't want to go. A walk in nature doesn't do it for me. I don't want to ride my bike in nature or go for a walk in nature. I want to live in it again.
Right.
And
Exactly.
actually, I feel so disconnected from the land, because even if I go for a walk, which is lovely, I'm not connected, as in the purpose. And I think because I grew up in nature, we never went for walks. We never went.
Mhm.
We never went out in nature randomly. It was always with purpose. So and of course that was every day.
Right.
When you live in nature, you don't go out for a walk in nature because you're in it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, we were like with my granddad when I was young and I was looking after the pheasants. When I was with him, I would get up in the morning and we were in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And every you know, you'd walk the dogs, but of course that's with purpose.
Well, it's like it's the artificial construct that we have of like, okay, I'm going to drive to the gym. I'm going to drive to this artificial environment and work out to get fit out of nature, out of sync, to build muscles. Like, what is this? Like, whereas if our life becomes that in sync, farming, gardening, just being, building homes, just whatever you need to do. So it just all comes like you are going to build muscles naturally, and you're going to breathe deeper. You're going to feel connected to your body. You're going to feel connected to the earth. You're going to be more satisfied, and you don't need to go, well, I got to go to the gym so that I feel better about myself, so that I look better. It's like, well, we need to flip that of like, okay, and maybe it starts out with just going for a walk in nature, but just being present with it, not like, well, I got to get to the top of this hill and then back home. And this time it's like, just go out there and be, and then start to reconnect with those rhythms. And I'm seeking that. Like I'm saying that, but I'm here like in an apartment. I'm kind of trying to break out of this matrix of this giant city right now. I like to reconnect with the earth. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, Phil. And that's, yeah, absolutely.
I think we need some more color.
Okay.
I think it's the show time and the color time. So
Okay, bud. What color?
what do we do? Something different.
Oh,
what would be connect? Is it something about connecting, reconnecting?
I'm gonna do fire.
Okay, we're gonna burn through.
No. This is about being on this is about the fire walk, right?
Okay.
So this is about walk, and life for me very much feels like this. And what you're talking about getting reconnected, getting back in nature, and all that. This is for me. It's like I'm on a permanent fire walk of that challenge, not being. And I live in a village where people are like, oh, but you live out in the country. It's like, no, I live in the village. I've lived in the country, and now I live in a village. I know the difference, So
it's so funny. You're like living in a village, and I'm here in a city of like I don't know how many millions of people.
I know, right? People are like, oh, you live right out in the sticks. It's like, no, I just live in a little village. I was doing a job down the road, and it was snowing, and this guy was saying, but we live so remotely. And I was like, the bloody road's a mile and a half away. What's wrong with you? The main road is a mile and a half away. Well, it's probably not even a mile and a half away to the main road.
That's pretty damn good for most people. Most people are not in that situation, Phil. So,
but I know exactly. But for me, that's the point I'm getting at. It's not remote.
Right.
If I remember when I was with my granddad, it was probably quarter of a mile to the nearest lane.
Mm-hmm.
Not main road.
Right.
It was quarter of a mile to a single track lane.
Mm-hmm.
and you had to go up this great big hill, and if it was snowing and you didn't have the Land Rover or the tractor at the top of the hill, you never got out for a week. And they're worried about a few flakes of snow and it's a mile to the road. Do you know what I mean? And it only lasts 2 or 3 days. Well, in now it's like a day because they have the salt lorries around the night before. So firewalk, we're on this firewalk, right? and it's about getting back to ourselves. It's actually more than getting back to nature. It's about getting back to ourselves. Excuse me a minute while I take the lid off. Okay, here we go, Phil. This is the fire walk. We need some fresh air. This one's air. It's clear. It's a clear bottle. Let's clear the air, right? Do that one. Oh, that's really nice. Okay, so yay, Phil's getting it.
Nice.
And then let's ground it all out. Oh, this is strong, man. That brought tears to my eyes, Phil, that did. I did it with my sister last night. That one. The grounding one before she went home. And she took a big snort in. And I didn't realize it was going to affect her like that. And man, she was nearly crying. It was so strong.
Mm-hmm.
But last night I sniffed that. I sniffed the Rainbow Earth Dragon, this one. I sniffed that so much, Phil, that actually I couldn't smell it anymore.
Mm.
So I filled those receptors. It was amazing. Yeah, Tim's saying the same thing about his little village. That they think it's a really small village, but it's a stone's throw from the A420 and 15 minutes from Oxford and 30 minutes from Swindon.
Well, there's not that many sticks really left in the UK. It's so small and concentrated, and there's so many people there. So,
do you know what though, Phil? Do you know how many acres there are in England?
No, how many?
I can't remember. I can't remember if I looked it up for England or Britain. I think it was Britain. 60 million acres in Britain.
Wow.
And it's only a pinprick of a country.
Mm-hmm.
And there's about 64 million people in the whole of Britain.
Mm.
So basically, if every single family had an acre of land, there'd be loads to share.
Wow.
Every family can have an acre of land and there would be loads left over, because that's 64 million people and 60 million acres.
Mm.
So I don't know how many families there are, but you can definitely reduce down from 60. I think it's I don't know. I think it's 60. The numbers changed, don't they? I think it's 64 million people. But how many families would that be?
Right.
So interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there's 64 million people and 60 million acres of land, how can we be overpopulated?
Right.
Because a family can live off of an acre of land.
Right. And that's just family on its own. That's a family acting as an island. But if we're sharing and interacting, then we can, yeah. So.
Oh, someone's just popping in.
And we're about to pop out.
And we're about to pop out. I'm just going to, oh, Phil, how do I mute? Oh, it's okay, cool. You've obviously set that up. Yeah. So welcome, Julia. You've just come on at the end of the show. We're just about to go. Is there anything left to be said, Phil?
Nope. I'm Phil.
And I'm Phil.
It's been another fabulous episode of the Phil Show. Check us out, philandphil.com, and make a donation. help us out. Appreciate it. Go to our YouTube channel, like us, subscribe, and all those fun things. Make a comment. Tell us how crazy and beautiful we are, and we'll love it.
Yeah, so if you're on YouTube, actually, guys, we really appreciate you. Give us a thumbs up, leave us comments, ask questions. You know, interaction on YouTube is really great for us and the show. It helps YouTube recognize us with all the algorithm nonsense and things like that. So really useful, great, you know, and great feedback for us. Your mum's left a couple of comments, Phil. She said apparently when you had your pint of beer, you ran home.
I did. She remembers that. Oh my God.
After your pint, you ran all the way home.
Which was a long way. So it was from college. It's a 111 here now. It's fun. So it was from college, yeah. And I was like, I don't like this. I didn't like how it made my body feel. So yeah, I ran home, probably 5-6 miles or something.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't have running shoes or anything. I was just in whatever I went to college with, and I just ran home. I was like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah. So comment, thumbs up, subscribe. Anyone watching, please subscribe to our channel because it really helps us. It really helps us grow our channel. If you can subscribe, the more subscribers, the more recognition we get from YouTube, then the more it gets put out as a recommendation for people to watch. So yeah, really appreciate thumbs up, likes, interaction. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing your time with us, your sacred special time. You know, I really appreciate that. You know, we do, Phil does. Yeah, let's be sacred.
You need to end the show because you're the master today.
Oh,
so you need to stop the live stream.
So guys, thank you very much. Really appreciate you all. We love you all and for your support. I've got to stop the live stream.